Arthur stood at the railing of the cruise ship, the salty breeze ruffling his hair as he gazed out at the endless expanse of the ocean. It was supposed to be a relaxing vacation, a much-needed break from the stress of his job and the chaos of city life. But as the days passed, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The first hint of trouble came on the third night of the cruise. Arthur was enjoying a quiet dinner in the ship's elegant dining room when he overheard snippets of conversation from the table behind him. The couple was speaking in hushed tones, their faces drawn with concern. Arthur caught phrases like disappearing passengers and strange occurrences. Intrigued, Arthur discreetly listened in as the couple recounted a series of unsettling incidents that had occurred since they boarded the ship. People vanishing without a trace, strange noises echoing through the corridors at night, and an eerie sense of being watched. They spoke of a pervasive sense of unease that seemed to hang over the entire ship like a shroud. Arthur's curiosity was piqued, and he resolved to investigate further. He spent the next few days discreetly asking questions and eavesdropping on conversations, piecing together fragments of information like a puzzle. What he uncovered only deepened the mystery. There were rumors of a secret passage hidden somewhere on the ship, a relic from its days as a luxury liner in the early 20th century. According to legend, the passage led to a forgotten chamber where unspeakable acts had once taken place. Some whispered that the spirits of those long-dead souls still haunted the ship, seeking vengeance for past wrongs. As Arthur delved deeper into the mystery, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Shadows seemed to flicker at the edge of his vision, and strange noises echoed through the empty corridors late at night. But despite the growing sense of dread gnawing at his insides, he pressed on, determined to uncover the truth behind the cruise ship's dark secrets. As Arthur continued his investigation, the atmosphere aboard the cruise ship grew increasingly tense. Passengers whispered in corners, exchanging nervous glances and casting suspicious glares at their fellow travelers. The once jovial atmosphere had been replaced by a palpable sense of fear and paranoia. One evening, as Arthur prowled the deserted corridors in search of clues, he stumbled upon a locked door tucked away in a forgotten corner of the ship. Intrigued, he jiggled the handle, but it refused to budge. Undeterred, he resolved to find a way inside. With a bit of cunning and a touch of luck, Arthur managed to procure a set of keys from a distracted crew member. Heart pounding, he returned to the locked door and inserted the key into the rusty lock. With a creak of protest, the door swung open, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. Summoning his courage, Arthur descended into the depths of the ship, the stale air thick with the scent of decay. As he ventured further into the bowels of the vessel, he stumbled upon a series of dimly lit chambers, their walls adorned with faded murals and crumbling artifacts. But it was what lay at the end of the passage that sent a shiver down Arthur's spine. In the flickering light of his flashlight, he discovered a hidden chamber, its walls lined with rows of ancient coffins. A chill swept through him as he realized the truth. He had stumbled upon the final resting place of the ship's long-forgotten passengers. As Arthur stood frozen in horror, a sound echoed through the chamber, sending a wave of terror crashing over him. It was the sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, drawing closer with each passing moment. With a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach, Arthur realized that he was not alone in the darkness. Arthur's heart pounded in his chest as he strained to listen to the approaching footsteps. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to flee, to retreat back into the safety of the ship's brightly lit corridors. But a stubborn curiosity rooted him to the spot, compelling him to stay and face whatever lurked in the darkness. As the footsteps drew nearer, Arthur's hand tightened around the handle of his flashlight, his breath coming in shallow, ragged gasps. And then, with a suddenness that made his blood run cold, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a man, clad in tattered clothing, and with a wild, haunted look in his eyes. His face was twisted in a grotesque grimace, and his hands clenched and unclenched at his sides in a silent display of rage. For a moment, Arthur and the stranger stood locked in a tense standoff, neither daring to make a move. And then, with a guttural roar, the man lunged forward, his fingers outstretched like claws. Instinct took over, and Arthur reacted without thinking, swinging his flashlight with all of his might. The beam connected with a sickening thud, sending the stranger sprawling to the ground in a heap. Breathing heavily, Arthur stood over the fallen figure, his heart still racing with adrenaline. As he caught his breath, he realized with a shock that the man was no ordinary passenger. He was one of the crew members, his uniform torn and blood-stained. But before Arthur could process this revelation, a cacophony of voices erupted from the darkness, echoing off the walls of the chamber with chilling intensity. It was the sound of whispers, countless voices murmuring in unison, their words indiscernible yet somehow filled with malice. With a mounting sense of dread, Arthur realized that he had stumbled upon something far more sinister than a mere ghost story. The cruise ship held secrets darker than he could have ever imagined. And now, trapped in the belly of the beast, he was powerless to escape their grasp. As the whispers grew louder, Arthur knew that he was running out of time. With one last desperate glance over his shoulder, he turned and fled back up the narrow staircase, the echoes of the voices following him every step of the way. As Arthur raced through the corridors of the ship, his mind raced with a million questions, each more unsettling than the last. Who was the mysterious man he had encountered in the hidden chamber? What dark secrets lay buried within the ship's haunted halls? And most importantly, how could he escape the clutches of whatever malevolent force lurked in the shadows? With each passing moment, Arthur's panic threatened to consume him. The whispers still echoed in his ears, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked just out of sight. But amid the chaos and confusion, a glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness. As Arthur rounded a corner, he stumbled upon a group of fellow passengers huddled together, their faces pale with fear. They too had heard the whispers, felt the creeping sense of dread that had settled over the ship like a suffocating fog. In a desperate bid for survival, Arthur joined forces with his fellow travelers, pooling their knowledge and resources in a frantic attempt to unravel the mysteries of the cruise ship before it was too late. Together, they scoured every inch of the vessel, uncovering hidden passageways, long-forgotten chambers, and chilling relics of the ship's dark past. But the deeper they delved, the more apparent it became that they were not alone. Shadows flitted at the edge of their vision. Strange noises echoed through the corridors at night, and the whispers grew louder with each passing hour. In a final, desperate gambit, Arthur and his companions confronted the dark entity that had plagued them since the moment they set foot aboard the cursed vessel. With hearts pounding and hands shaking, they stood united against the darkness, refusing to back down in the face of overwhelming odds. And then, in a blinding flash of light, the whispers fell silent, the shadows retreated, and the cruise ship was engulfed in an eerie calm. As Arthur and his companions emerged blinking into the sunlight, they knew that they had triumphed over evil against all odds. But as they watched the ship vanish into the horizon, a lingering sense of unease settled over them like a shroud. For they knew that some mysteries were never meant to be solved, and that the dark secrets of the cruise ship would haunt them for the rest of their days. As Arthur looked out at the endless expanse of the ocean, he knew that he would never forget the horrors he had witnessed aboard the cursed vessel. And though he had escaped with his life, he could only wonder what other unsuspecting souls would fall prey to its malevolent grasp in the years to come.